So there is a big update in the Michigan scandal today. And this is wild. So before I get into this, you guys, do you believe for a second that Jim Harbaugh survives this? Do you guys believe that Jim Harbaugh can he coach past this? Can he somehow just claim naivete that he didn't know? Ignorance. Do you believe for a second that there is any way, shape, or form that Jim Harbaugh makes it through this?
No, I mean, I think the problem is just like we've seen before in many different cases. Like, as a head coach, you're not afforded that luxury of pleading ignorance because it's like, oh, you didn't know? Well, you should have known. Oh, you did know? You're an awful person, right? I mean, that's the unwinnable situation that we inevitably see play out over and over again in college athletics. And I think that Jim Harbaugh, the problem also for Jim that I don't see a ton of people talking about is that Jim has fought the NCAA every step of the way himself personally. Now, Michigan on this is cooperating as an institution, giving the NCAA whatever it asks, so that's cool. But Jim himself is going to fight you. And I think that when you're a head coach and you've got pictures all over a place of this guy standing next to you on the sideline, and you combine those pictures with the evidence they have in both in text message and on video, not even just from Michigan, but from the other member institutions in the conference. Like, I don't know how Jim would survive. And frankly, I don't know that Jim would want to survive. I don't know that
I don't think so.
I don't know that he's so married to dealing with this when, let's be honest, you've got enough money to go home and sit on the couch for the rest of your life. Right now, guys like Jim and others who coach at that level are not that type of personality, and I totally respect that. But that's the reality of the situation. Jim could go open up a coaching clinic and be fine. Like, he'd be more than fine. So I'm just sitting here saying I don't feel like Jim is incentivized to fight and tooth and claw his way through this thing. Now, what I will say is it is a possibility that Jim's pride and his thoughts and beliefs are what's going to fuel him to try to survive. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe, because again, he's been brazen through this whole thing with how they've acted, and the fact that this cat's on your staff and, that you would be okay with that is wild to me. But you can't tell me Jim didn't know. So if Jim did that thinking, what are they going to be able to prove? I mean, they're not going to actually catch us, even if someone saw him doing it. They're not going to be able to prove and get me fired. So maybe that's what motivates him to stay. But I can't see a way where he, A, survives this, but B, gets out of this thing with full innocence. I can't believe that happens.
No, I don't think so. And one of the more interesting things today is, look at this message board. This is a Tennessee message board. Do you guys notice the date on that? That'd be December 1st, 2022. Read that. One of my little brother's friends is a, quote, scout for them, Michigan. They paid him to travel to UT Vandy to try and steal our signs. He's from Nashville originally, so he just went anyway after our loss since it was Thanksgiving. Said he and the others never are allowed to talk about it. Interesting. So message boards knew about this in December. Yet then look at January 17th of this year. No clue if related, but I posted on here a couple of months ago about a mutual friend of mine that was working for Michigan, going to other schools' games, stealing plays. They'd pay his flights, lodging, food, and seats right behind the team's bench for him to get video. Michigan is pulling out all the stops, it seems. Like, this is, again, you guys, this is an open secret.
Yeah.
Now. And we also know that, Stallions, if you look at this, stole opponents' signals during the week watching TV copies, then flew to the game and stood next to Michigan offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis and told him what coverage and pressure he was about to face. Stallions wrote in text messages. Now remember, good old Uncle Monty warned you. Text messages are not the way, friends.
Right.
I think it's pretty rare to find the right type of people who can grasp a vision of the future and want to team up and run shit. And we all got our own stuff going on, but we all got some pretty unique approaches. Basically, the way I see it, there's a future Ohio State head coach and staff out there somewhere preparing for it, whether they know it or not. And we have a group of a half dozen actively planning stuff, 15 or so years out, and another dozen or two on board. So by the time it's ready to rock and roll, we're all on the same page, and we quickly make Michigan the ultimate standard.
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
Bro.
So Mr. Stallions, who is the suspended University of Michigan staffer, had a long-term plan to become the head coach at Michigan. And the thing that's remarkable is he's told people in text messages, I've grown up my entire life with a vision to coach football at Michigan. And you look at his text messages and you look at his manifesto. How is Michigan going to get away from this guy? Because he told friends, he told family members openly,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to this game to do this. Like,
Hey guys,
going to Tennessee Vandy, because Tennessee, remember, before Hooker got hurt and they were a national championship contender, Michigan might have seen them. And they go to the game. And he went to the, how about Kirby Smart talking about the fact that, yeah, they scouted us. He was supposedly at our game.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think there's been, Kirby, Matt Rule, Prime. Like, there's been a bunch of dudes who have come out and talked about the fact that, yeah, I mean, sign stealing on the field, like during the game against your opponent's legal, but sending guys out and stuff like that is illegal, and we won't stand for it. And all these guys, what's really funny is all I keep hearing about is, hey, why don't we have mics and helmets? Why don't we have technology?
I don't know.
I mean, I whether it's, Nick Saban or Matt Rule or Prime or who the hell ever, they all want helmet technology like the NFL. And my only question is, why do we not do this already? The college football system is the minor leagues of the NFL, and we all know it. Why are we not just matching? Why complicate it?
I think the other part of this is two things. You're going to hear from Jim Harbaugh in about 5 minutes on this. But listen to Nick Saban talking about stealing signs.
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't know anything about anybody coming to the SEC championship game or whatever. And, I don't have a lot of information or background on, all this sign stealing stuff. I'm kind of focused on our team. But, I know back in the old days when I was in the NFL, there was a time when, you could send out scouts and, scout a game, personnel, and that type of thing. I don't think it was geared towards sign stealing, but that was allowed. They changed that rule, I think, some time back, and we've never had that in college for a long, long time, so I think you're probably aware of that. I do think the helmet communicator is probably a real positive thing for the game. Everybody's, you can't steal signs and do any of this stuff if you have a helmet communicator, and I think it's, I think it would be a good thing.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Nick Saban not pulling any punches about it. And that's why I just ask, why haven't we done this yet? And you hear all these coaches talking about how it's just too complicated. And what they're saying is they don't trust their quarterback or their linebacker's ability to process the information coming into their ears. And I think they don't want to handle it.
Well, and I think a lot of people there's a sort of, I don't know if we want to call it a brand or vanity, certain vanity with college football being sort of old world. Hey, this is college football, man. We're not using helmet technology. We're not using all this stuff. We're signaling in the play from the sideline, and that's how we've always done it. Why are we going to change it? That sort of thought process and perspective is alive and well in college football. Now, of course, those most successful head coaches like Sabinator or Kirby or whoever, Prime certainly, they understand because they're modern day guys. They understand, hey, well, why don't we just do this to make it easier and this all goes away? But I'm telling you, there is a sector of college football that very much wants it to stay old world. And hey, this is college football. This is not the pros. Like, we're doing it a certain way. And I whatever ends up happening, I just think that the NCAA has to make sure the integrity of the game stays at the highest level, because once integrity of the game issues happen, now you're talking about everything from ethics to your gambling partners to all this stuff. And that's what I think you can't have.
Yeah, and interesting comments from Bob Stoops today on his radio show about this theory that somehow, everybody's doing it. This is nothing new. Jim Harbaugh's just doing what everybody else is doing. Not according to Bob Stoops, who said if it's true, absolutely, it's a big deal. That's ridiculous, Stoops said. Everyone's saying, it happens all the time. No, it doesn't. I've never heard of that in all of my years of football. And every team I've ever been on, sure, do we look across the field? And if you can see it, that's your job to do. You know what I'm saying? If I'm able to just, in my plain eye, look over there and know what they're doing, I should be doing it.
Yeah. And
that's
again,
exactly
no one's
right.
disputing that. No one's saying, sign stealing's illegal. What we're saying is you can't fund dude's travel and his lodging and his desires to eat steak dinners every night and have him on the road filming other sidelines and then coming back and using a whole staff of people to break down that film and build a game plan.
I'm telling you now that there are financial records to this, and it will be the smoking gun.
Yeah.
Because no money goes out without Jim Harbaugh knowing about it. Now, interestingly, over the weekend, Jim Harbaugh, I think, tried to play this off as just, we're really good, and so people are coming after us. I got to tell you, I completely disagree with what he said here.
Jim, do you feel like your program has a target on its back, both because of the success on the field and also some things off the field?
Yeah, I think success, does that. There's people that don't like to see people be successful, and there's a target. Yeah, everybody's pointed that out from the beginning of the season. But our guys are, they're just very focused, and just go about their business, wake up, take care of business today, and then and we still got get the guys back to Ann Arbor, and then wake up tomorrow and take care of business again.
Do you really think this is just because Michigan's good?
No, because you're not good enough. That's the problem. That's what nobody seems to want to say.
That's the biggest issue.
Do you run out undefeated records until the playoff? Yeah. But we're not. Jim Harbaugh didn't go to Michigan to have to win the Big Ten. That's not what we're playing for. You're playing for natties, and he hasn't done that at all.
Yeah, I find it remarkable that it's just so over the top, unfathomable that anybody could think that Jim Harbaugh is, actually cheating. And in my opinion, I don't see how he's not. All the evidence lines up. This kid did not do this on his own. Is this Stalions kid somebody that wanted to be part of the Michigan football ecosystem? Absolutely. He wrote a manifesto about it. He wrote, or what they're calling a manifesto. He wrote basically a novel espousing about his love of Michigan football, and here's how he was going to make them a national power. I think it is beyond naive if you believe that Jim Harbaugh had no knowledge of what Stalions was doing. He absolutely had to. And I've heard all of the rumors and all of the Harbaugh supporters saying, well, Jim Harbaugh never had any idea, and you can't blame him for what his staff is doing. That's completely wrong. You absolutely blame the head coach, because the head coach gets all the credit for everything. So when you get caught cheating, the head coach gets credit for that. When there are big wins and you win national championships, the head coach gets credit for that. Nothing, and I mean nothing, goes on inside of a major football program at any college in this country that the head coach doesn't know about.
Yeah.
It is completely naive to believe that this kid bought tickets to 30 games in 12 Big Ten stadiums and had tickets either on both sides of the field or on one side of the field filming the sideline. And there is video evidence from 12 Big Ten stadiums showing that. You come on now. The video from the Ohio State game last year where CJ Stroud looks at the sideline and the play is signaled in the Michigan sideline, all the players and staffers immediately react and say, this is a pass. And they re-signal the defense. Everybody knew what was going on. Jim Harbaugh knew it. His assistants knew it. The players knew it.
The other team.
I mean, it's completely naive to believe that Jim Harbaugh somehow is innocent in this whole thing.
Yeah, and I totally agree with your point. It's us when we win, and it's me when we lose. That's your life as a head coach. That's your life as a starting quarterback, right? I mean, that's the responsibility you have in a leadership role. And I think that people want to be like, oh, well, dude, the kids are just victims here. This is Jim's plot. Well, that might be true that, hey, the kids aren't running the team, but the kids damn well knew what was going on. And if you think that a kid wouldn't try to get an advantage to up his draft stock or to do whatever he could to get the bag, you're crazy. And you know what? I don't blame the kid. I don't blame the kid at all. If I'm the middle linebacker or if I'm the cornerback or hell, even an edge rusher at Michigan, I'm not complaining because what is it if you're a player? It's no risk as a player and you were just following along. You were just following orders. And that's why I say there's no way Jim didn't know about this. There's no way that Jim is going to sit here and plead ignorance. The only question is, how long is the NCAA going to take to gut Michigan this season? How long until we get, hey, yeah, you're not playoff eligible. You're not like the whole gauntlet. Because ultimately, and I think it's the best point of this whole thing, the NCAA and the Big Ten cannot allow the integrity on the field to be questioned. And you're talking about a team that's got college football playoff aspirations, and pretty much everyone agrees this was going on.
And the other thing I would note before we get to your comments, the other thing I would note on this, every day we've got new details.
Yeah.
So the ball's rolling. People want this out. People want the information to come out.
Yeah.
People want to damage Michigan. People want to damage Jim Harbaugh because the flagrant FU that this is to his opponents, and the fact that Jim Harbaugh is already not liked by most of his opponents and by most of his coaching fraternity friends, if we call them that, constituents, peers, he's not well liked. And so when you're kicking people's ass, and our sources told us that one of the things that people hate the most about this is that he was doing it knowingly every play to lesser opponents.
Yeah.
That he did not need to steal their signals and beat them on every single play. And the other thing that I think people forget, this wasn't just offense. It was defense and offense. They knew what the other defense was going to do.
Yeah.
They knew the defensive signals.
It's a defense.
They knew the offensive signals.
And that's been my other thing here. Dude, if you had their signals both ways, first of all, great job. I mean, it's not, I think everyone's discounting how easy it is to decipher signals, even if you're at the game watching it. It's not easy.
It is labor intensive.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy's putting in tons of hours a week trying to figure this out. And he was really good at it. But what I just don't understand is that exactly. Why are you going to run it up on teams when you know that you've got a dirty secret? Why are you going to do that? And the only logical reason is because Jim Harbaugh said, hey, this is awesome. We're not going to get caught doing this. And even if they were to catch on to it, there's no way they're going to have enough evidence. That's the only way you can explain it away, man.
Yeah.
And I just don't, anybody who knows anything about cheating understands that the result you're putting out on the field, if it's that egregious and you're just kicking the hell out of every team, even the ones that are bad, like you're going to draw attention to yourself. And that's what I think got them caught. You're just beating people up.
I'm curious how long until we get the financials on it. How long until we find out that Michigan, in fact, reimbursed all of his road expenses?
Yeah, and I'm curious how far up the food chain it goes, because I'm not ruling out that, someone, I'm not going to sit here and say the athletic director knew about this, but You really telling me that nobody that runs Michigan knew about this? You're going to tell me that people who hang out around the program as Michigan, leaders, if you will, don't know anything about this? So the question is, how far up the food chain does the proof and the evidence link people to this?
That's going to be very interesting. And Donut says, Jim the victim, how rich?
Right?
Yeah, seriously. Katie Rader, what's up, Katie? Damn, that's some Coke bottle glasses. He ain't scouting. Well,
Nope.
Jim does wear glasses. Lance Johnson, are the tax records on the expense reimbursements, is this possibly criminal? We'll find out. I don't think it would be criminal. I mean, it's an NCAA violation. But, I mean, if you wanted to go that far,
Well, I don't know what crime you've broken. I mean,
it would be a violation of the tax code if you were paid under the table for it, or did you directly expense this and reimburse it? Did he put in an expense report? Was there a reimbursement deposited into his account? Like, you just got to know. Mike Smith, Bubbles glasses. My cousin Vinny was in the press pool and asked how many levels of thickness Jim's glasses have been through. Let's be nice. Stallions made like $50K a year. He ain't affording those tickets.
55 a year was his officially listed salary.
Yeah. So let's see. Gabriel, so we have another cheating Astros situation. I think this is far worse than the Astros.
Yeah.
I think this is...
Everything the Astros did was in-game. Meaning, okay, you use cameras in the stadium to steal signs, and you relayed those signs. Yeah.
You cracked a code in-game.
And then you banged on garbage cans and dugout roofs to signal that without being as low-key as possible.
You had a and if you guys don't remember, the Astros had a whole setup where they had a camera in center field, a TV in the tunnel with a garbage can. And what they did is they had that camera fixed on the catcher, and they stole the signs. They essentially shot a lens into that guy's crotch and deciphered what the signs were. And then once they figured out what the signs were, they started banging on garbage cans, and allegedly they used vibrating indicators. Like Jose Altuve allegedly had an indicator on his chest so that when a fastball was coming, it would buzz his chest. And if it was a breaking ball, there would be no buzz. And that's in game. They were
still terrible.
Bad, but they're there.
Yeah.
What this cat did was he bought tickets in other stadiums and sent other people to videotape sidelines. And then he just grinded out the video, which he talked about in text messages. He just grinded out the video.
And why did he do that? And this is the important part. It speaks to his character. All he's interested is in 15 years being the head coach of Michigan, right? Like that's what this kid didn't give a damn about, NCAA violations or any of that. He didn't care. You're talking about someone who was in the Navy, someone who.
But I will give this guy credit, though. This manifesto he wrote about, where he broke down the ACT, the SAT test score versus grade point average, and he said he'd much rather have a kid with a low test score and a high GPA because it showed that the kid with the low test score and the high GPA was outworking his talent because he can't take basically he's saying you're not smart enough to get a good score on the SAT or the ACT, but you have a 4.0 grade point average. That means you're busting your ass in the classroom to get your good grades. You are outworking your level of talent. I want that guy on my football team.
Yeah.
He doesn't want oh man, he got a 27, but he's only got a 2.95 GPA. Nah, he's a lazy ass. We don't want him on the team.
Mm-hmm.
That's his working theory. And I got to tell you, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And so when we look at this kid, the one thing you should not get twisted here, this kid is really smart.
Yeah.
He's a really smart guy. To break down signals is not easy. To grind your face off because you have a plan that is basically a 5-year plan to raise your profile significantly year in and year out at Michigan so that at one point you can be the next head coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
To which I say, hey, Jim, hey, we got a really savvy kid over here who's really smart and has a whole game plan. Should we bring him into the program?
Hey, Jim, listen, this kid, he came to me with the signs for Ohio State, and it turns out they're exactly right.
Program.
What do you want to do? Like, hey, this kid really wants to be around us. And it turns out that this kid's initial entry into the Michigan program is none other than Arizona football coach Jed Fish. Like, this kid knew how to manipulate people to get into the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
That's half the battle in life. It ain't what you know, it's who you know. In a lot of places, relationships move the needle. Like, this kid is not dumb.
Yeah.
This kid is not just some jag off the street. He's not just a guy. This is a kid that went to I believe he went to the Naval Academy and put in the work. And he said that he didn't go to Michigan, which is where he has family. This guy's a Michigan dude. Like, he wanted to go through the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is not stupid. Does that mean what he did is right? No, it does not. No, it does not. But let's not write this kid off as just some idiot who happened to have a really nice pair of binoculars, because that's not what happened here. Hero 75 for $10. Hero, what's up? Good to see you, bud. If the NCAA comes down, Michigan bye week would be the time. So now a new coach, whoever that could possibly be, considering everyone who had to know, has time to get in place. I think one of the more interesting parts of this is, can they fire Jim Harbaugh after the season's over? Well, I'm sure you could. But you have to start a process. If we learned anything from Mel Tucker at Michigan State, which, by the way, he lost today, he was deemed responsible. But if we learned anything, you got to put a process in place. And if you look at Michigan, who, again, is 8-0 this season, they're in their bye week. They don't play Purdue until the 4th of November. So, yeah, maybe now is the time where, I mean, what's going on behind closed doors at Michigan right now?
I think there's a lot going on. And
the level of panic must just be.
And again, I'm just telling you, Jim's not the guy that panics. The panic is happening in, the AD's office. The panic's happening at that upper level that's got to figure out how to pick up the pieces here. Jim damn well knows what's going to come down. Jim is well aware of, we're probably going to get caught for this. And, sorry, guys, is what it is. Got caught. I mean, that's the kind of guy that I take Jim Harbaugh to be, that he knew this was going on. He did not think they were going to get caught. He's going to play the victim card in the media as long as possible. And then if he gets fired, it is what it is.
Brand new story out of the Washington Post. This literally just hit 10 minutes ago. Sign stealing investigation threatening to disrupt Michigan's football season began after an outside investigative firm approached the NCAA with documents and videos the firm said it had obtained from computer drives maintained and accessed by multiple Michigan coaches, according to people familiar with the matter. Oh, boy. That's ugly. Evidence that suggests the scandal's impact could broaden beyond the suspension of one low-level assistant. People who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about the ongoing investigation. They did not disclose who hired the outside firm that approached the NCAA. The NCAA, Big Ten, and Michigan declined to comment. Oh, wow. The outside firm's investigation began this season and involved interviews with people knowledgeable about Michigan football's scouting operation, as well as reviewing documents and videos related to sign-stealing efforts. Last Tuesday, these people said the firm presented its evidence to top NCAA officials. The next day, the Big Ten later confirmed the NCAA informed both the conference in Michigan and it opened an investigation. Among the evidence the firm presented was a detailed schedule of Michigan's planned sign-stealing travel for the rest of this season. Oh, Jesus. Listing opponent schedules which games Michigan scouts would attend and how much money was budgeted for travel and tickets to scout each team.
See, this is what I'm talking about. So what did they just say? hey, we had a budget,
Oh,
right? Hey, we had a budget
wow.
for the travel. So what does that mean? That means this is above Jim, in my opinion. If you got to get financial approval,
No, I don't think so. Jim has a budget, and this is just in my experience. In my experience, this is game, set, and match. Let's just stop pulling punches. Remember what I said 20 minutes ago. If the financials on this come out, you're done. And you're done. Because if you look at this paragraph right here, oh boy, this is a doozy. Among the pieces of evidence the firm presented, detailed schedules of Michigan's planned sign-stealing travel for the rest of the season. So wait, did you just say that on paper there's a plan for travel? Okay. Listing opponents. So you planned, okay, each schedule opponents travel. Which games Michigan scouts would attend. So now you planned a travel schedule for scouts of your program. And how much money was budgeted for the travel and tickets to scout each team. Jim Harbaugh sits on top of a football organization, and he has a budget. And so, in my opinion, just in my experience, and I've had this conversation with an unnamed many, I can think of 3 or 4 off the top of my head. No money goes out without the football coach and the chief of staff knowing about it. Each football coach, so the football coach sits at the top of the pyramid. He's got a chief of staff. They've got they're their own unit. And the athletic director oversees the football coach who oversees the football department. So I would think the athletic director is involved in this. Has to be.
Has to be.
The opponents targeted the most on this schedule were not surprising. Ohio State. Scouts plan to attend as many as 8 games, costing more than $3,000 in travel and tickets. Georgia, with 4 or 5 games scheduled for in-person scouting and video, $3,000 in travel and tickets. Michigan's sign-stealing operation expected to spend more than $15,000 this season, sending scouts to more than 40 games played by 10 opponents. Stallions, listed as an administrative specialist, made $55,000 last year. Oh, my God. It's over. That's it, you guys. It's over. Jim Harbaugh will be suspended without pay pending the outcome of this investigation. There's no way not to now. When you have this level, of auditing happening, and the really interesting part of this Washington Post piece is it's unclear who ordered the audit. It's unclear. Information obtained from computer drives maintained and accessed by Michigan coaches.
So that probably means, and again, speculating, right? It's my opinion. That probably means someone got a little nervous about this before all this came out. Someone in the program was like, okay, we're going a little far here.
Somebody at Michigan.
Yes. Got nervous.
Yes. Had to have hired this firm.
Because what it says there is those computer drives were accessed by multiple coaches and staffers. So these were private computer drives at Michigan, not like public, everyone can access them. Private computer drives at Michigan that multiple coaches had access to, which sounds to me like, hey, these are drives that have a bunch of video on them, right? That just has a bunch of tape on it. And probably on these drives, one of those files were the Connor Stallion files. Hey, this is what it looks like based on the signal. Okay, great. So to me, I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to be dramatic about this. This says Jim Harbaugh knew. The AD probably knew based on that financial information we just got. And essentially, they've been caught red-handed. You got caught with your cookie in the jar, man. And as far as how this came out, because it's unclear who ordered the audit, I guarantee you this. This was a Michigan football inner circle thing, right? Jim, his closest coaches, obviously Stallions and his people that worked with him on this, right? There was a circle of people who knew about this. And then what generally happens? When you have a secret, at some point, that secret gets out.
Here's what blows my mind. He was telling his friends and family about it.
Yeah.
You look at, I showed this earlier, you guys. Look at the date on this from a Tennessee volunteer message board, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
December 1st. One of my little brother's friends is a scout for Michigan. And he goes on to talk about how they paid for him to travel to see UT Tennessee take on Vandy.
So this is, as far as Stallions is concerned, yeah, he was going to tell his family and he was going to, share this information and do what he needed to do. But at the same time, that's how this got out. Because again, when you talk about not knowing, hey, who ordered the audit and where did this and where, like, how did this all start? Well, it all started because you had this huge secret inside a group of probably, I don't know, let's be conservative and say 20, 30 people on that staff at least knew about this. And then Connor's out here telling his family and everything. So at some point, someone said, okay, hey, that's cool. You guys are getting an advantage. We're not going to say anything. We're your family. We don't care. But at some point, someone knew that this was a big deal and it was illegal and you couldn't be doing this. And so they felt so compelled to go out and get a firm to audit the program. And so this investigative firm is here saying, hey, there were budgets, not only for Connor, but for the staff and for all the scouts that they were sending out. It was line itemed. You knew it was $3,000 to go here and $5,000 to go there. And that's the end of it. Once it's clear that Jim and probably the AD knew about this whole situation, as my guy over here said, it's game, set, and match. It's over. And so my question is, how long until we get the NCAA coming down and saying, hey, that's the end. Michigan is no longer eligible for the playoff this year. They are not eligible for probably past that, honestly, until something's done about Jim and his staff, because this is not just a Jim Harbaugh problem. So firing Jim is no longer going to get the job done. Now it's going to have to be, we're firing Jim, we're firing probably 80% of that staff at least.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I think you are going to, when you fire the head coach, you're replacing his staff anyway.
Well,
right? I mean,
I
you're
don't
not
know,
bringing
are you?
in, you're not bringing in a new head coach and saying, hey, you're going to keep, hey, Connor Stallions is going to be on your staff, dude. Doesn't work that way. You're going to clean house anyway. My bigger question is, let's stop screwing around and let's have a real conversation about the integrity of college football. Because if that's the only job the NCAA has. They're the only place, and I know I keep saying this, and I know it keeps frustrating people, but I'll keep saying it. The only place the NCAA has teeth is in discipline. They're the only ones that can handle this. And if we're really going to have a conversation about the integrity of college football, maybe it's time to have that in conversation right now about Michigan. Because if you allow Michigan to compete for a college football playoff spot, don't ever come to me and talk to me about wanting to keep the game ethical and intact, and because that's a bunch of bullshit at that point. You can't tell me, knowing what you know, knowing that you have, according to this Washington Post story, detailed travel logs, detailed budgets that go with those travel logs, you can't tell me that there's questions anymore. If these reports are correct, and we have no reason not to believe that they are, but if these reports are correct, it's not a question of did Jim Harbaugh have involvement in a sign-stealing scandal. It's what are you going to do about the sign-stealing scandal at Michigan? It's no longer a question of did Jim Harbaugh know. Let's stop making up ways to spin it so that Jimmy doesn't get. Jim Harbaugh knew about this scandal, in my opinion, and Jim Harbaugh should never coach another game at Michigan. He should have after this scandal is adjudicated, I would hope he has at least a 5-year show cause notice. And I would hope that no NFL team touches him. Because now it's not a question of, is Jim Harbaugh ethical? The answer is absolutely not. Jim Harbaugh is not ethical. And again, I'm going to stand on what Bob Stoops said. This is not normal. This does not go on all over the country. Are there sign stealing operations in every stadium every Saturday afternoon? You're damn right there are. But they're not from other teams who create travel budgets and itineraries with the specific purpose of stealing signs. While you play a game in Ann Arbor, you have scouts in Tuscaloosa. That's not normal. This is a Jim Harbaugh operation, in my opinion, based on the evidence that we've seen. And if you're not willing to do anything about it, if you're not going to fire Jim Harbaugh, if you're not going to remove him right now, don't tell me that you care about the integrity of athletes or making boys into men at Michigan. Go Big Blue. Come on. Who are you kidding? You are as complicit as you are willing to let Jim Harbaugh continue as the head coach at Michigan.
Facts.
If you as the NCAA, if you as the Big Ten, if you as the president and the athletic director, and dare I say just the president at Michigan, you should fire the athletic director, because if the athletic director didn't know, he should have. You should fire Jim Harbaugh, and you should clean house after the season, because you're going to let those kids compete in football games for the rest of the year, but they're not going to a bowl game, and you should voluntarily withdraw yourself from postseason play this year. I mean, it's over. There's nothing else to talk about. I don't know how much more. Like, what other evidence would you need?
Oh, it's not. I think you've got them, but I think that's hardly the question. I think the question is, how far does the rabbit hole go? I mean, just how deep into your program does this go? Because again, just while we've been talking about it, thinking about it, the NCAA has all this evidence already. I mean, I would guess, just have to assume they do. So if you're looking at this, right, as it comes out and as you get it, when do you stop and say, okay, this is everything, right? Like, when do we stop and say, okay, hey, yep, we know Jim knows about it. We know it's program wide. We know that the AD knew about it. We know that money was involved in this. We know that they did this because the evidence says they did it. We have them on video. We've got them at video in Big Ten stadiums. Then we've got them at video in game, executing on the scouting they went ahead and planned and executed. So then the only question is, okay, well, how long has this been going on? When did it start? Obviously, when is it going to end? And who knew about it? Because that's how you determine discipline. That's how you say, okay, Michigan's not eligible for the college football playoff for how long? Right? Is it just this year? Is this like a 3-year thing? What's the discipline going to be? And that's the only question, in my opinion, that remains is, how deep does this go in the program, and how long is that discipline going to be? Because I don't, there's just no getting away from it anymore. There's no, oh, Jim didn't know, or this is some low level stuff.
Not at all.
We're way past that now, and I'm tired of hearing people saying that, because it's just it's the end of that.
Also from the Washington Post, an outside firm also presented NCAA officials with photographs of people investigators believe to be Michigan scouts in action, including current students interning with the football team. Ugh. The photos showed these people seated at games of Michigan opponents this season, aiming their cell phones at the sidelines. Days later, the outside firm told the NCAA cell phone videos depicting the coaching staffs from these games were uploaded to a computer drive maintained and accessed by Connor Stallions, as well as several other Michigan assistants and coaches.
See what I mean? So, hey, we're going to send the interns and as many people as we need to cover our bases out to these different games every week.
You sent interns.
Yeah, which is a bad look in and of itself. You don't put interns in terrible positions like this. But regardless of that,
it's not even that. You trusted, and I mean no disrespect to anybody that's an intern. Interns do not qualify as employees who you can put responsibility on. Interns are there to learn and educate and get on-the-job training. So let me get this right. You trusted inexperienced football interns with potential criminal behavior, and you didn't think you were going to get caught?
Nope.
You didn't think you were going to get caught when you now have this outside firm that audited Michigan And I'm with you, Jake. Nobody is confirmed who hired the outside firm, but if they're getting access to Michigan computers and networks, it's Michigan.
Yeah.
That you sent students interning with the football team on the road to videotape sidelines. How are you not expelling these kids from school?
Well,
You did, but you have no choice. They committed real, NCAA violations. And here's the problem. They knew what they were doing was wrong. You know how I know that? Because you can't send them out on the road without telling them, hey, if anybody asks, don't tell them you're from Michigan. Don't tell them you're an intern on the football team. Because what would happen if somebody said, hey, what are you guys doing? We're interns with the Michigan football team. We're just filming the sideline. That's an NCAA violation. They knew what they were doing was wrong. You're telling me you didn't instruct them to videotape those sidelines? When you instructed them, you didn't tell them that was an NCAA investigation? You got to expel them from school. Like, this is not ideal. This is not small, in my opinion.
yeah.
This is a major, major operation. And again, how is the state of Michigan, the great state of Michigan? How have you found yourself in this kind of debauchery again? Mel Tucker, the Larry Nassar scandal, how, man? Like, this is just remarkable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have not taken Jim Harbaugh off the field. You've known about this for a week or
At
more.
least.
Or more. You knew this. And you haven't taken Jim Harbaugh off the field. I'm amazed by it. And the other part of this, Jim Harbaugh's statement saying, and here it is right here. Jim Harbaugh's statement, I don't have any knowledge or information regarding the University of Michigan football program illegally stealing signs.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
Okay, let's presume every word of that statement's true. You're fired. You're fired. You're derelict in your duty. Oh, here's a term you never want to hear at the NCAA level. You have a lack of institutional control in your football department. How about that?
Yeah.
I didn't know. That's not my computer. What? If he is still your analyst and not the NCAA.
For real.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait. I don't have any knowledge, nor have I directed any staff members or others to participate in an off-campus scouting. So let me get this fucking ass. Let me get this right. Let me get this right, khakis. So your interns in the football department traveled to and let's not get this twisted, friends. Right? For travel for the rest of the season, listing opponent schedules which Michigan scouts would attend. Right? And if you look, like according to two people familiar with the matter, like you have documents and videos that the firm said it had obtained from computer drives maintained and accessed by Michigan coaches. And you went to at least 8 Ohio State games. And we're just supposed to believe that, no, what? 15,000.
You want to know? You bought it.
Let me get this right. So you don't have Jimmy? Jim, what's this $15,000 for travel for?
And, pardon me,
these expenses to Connor Stout, who? Who the fuck
is that guy?
We're paying to do 15 G's? Jimmy, what is this $15,000? Oh, those.
we may have to go short in a couple cases.
Those were for hoagies. The boy, I had to get the boys some sandwiches. They were hungry.
A lot.
Yeah. When we played Michigan State, who doesn't want a good dish of toasted ravioli with some marinara sauce?
Fat.
Olive Garden's not cheap these days.
Nope.
Come on, Jim. Jim, what do you mean? I do not condone or tolerate anyone doing anything illegal or against the NCAA rules.
Good.
Does that include Zoom calls of workouts during the COVID dark period, sir?
Not a good question.
Why did you take a 3-game rip voluntarily for that?
Donnie, please.
Yeah, it's over. It's over, you guys. It's over. OG Gary says Bacavos cost $15K a piece. Good point.
So hold on a
Good
second.
point.
Hold on, though. Hold on. OG, were you not the guy last week saying this was no big deal and that people just hate Jim and people hate Michigan?
Why are you choosing violence right now?
Because I'm not letting my boy off the hook on this. Did you not say that, dude?
No.
Bacavo.
I don't know what you mean. It's juicy.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Gary said, yeah, that was me.
Yeah, you're damn right it was. Yeah.
You ought to know you bought it.
Thank you for taking accountability, unlike your head coach, Jim.
Jeff Woodworth. Jim, real press conference. FUNCAA, what you gonna do about it?
So you have no frame of reference here, Donnie.
So, Jim, hey, Jim, were you guys stealing signs and shit? Me? Yes, we were. And what are you gonna do about it? When you need the Dave Chappelle show, right? Where he's remember that episode of the Chappelle show where he knocks over the pitcher of water and runs out of the room? Yeah, me too. James, Oak State fan. If Harbaugh did not know, he did not supervise his people. Supervisors check on their people and make sure they do what is right. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Like, you have a lack of institutional control.
Well said.
And this is the Pat Fitzgerald. I didn't know they were doing penis car washes.
Me?
What? Well, you didn't know that your team was doing nude sexually related hazing? Yeah, you're fired. You're
fired.
You're
over.
You're fired.
Don't fuck.
Yeah, you're out.
Yeah, you're fired.
Bye-bye. Like, you had to know. You had to know.
Come on.
Lance Johnson, Jake is still mad about the Phillies, aren't we all? Thanks a lot.
Don't get me started on that, dude.
Mike Smith, OG is real, man, and will own up to it. He did.
Hey, I'm just saying. And this is where I'd love, honestly, it's not even with OG. I'd love a hardcore Michigan fan to come in here and try and defend Jim.
No chance.
Because all of a sudden, Michigan fans that have been in our comments for the last week talking a bunch of junk seemingly aren't interested in being here during the live show. So I'm just curious what Michigan fan, has to say today.
It's wild to me that there are still a ton of Michigan fans who are like, he's innocent. He's innocent. The election was rigged. Like,
sure it was.
But isn't that
it's
what
the same
this is?
Thing. Yes.
You're looking straight down the barrel of a gun and you're like, well, there's no bullet in that. Yeah, there is.
Come on, dude.
Guys, come on. It is irrefutable evidence at this point.
Cold-blooded, clean,
right? And it's wild to me. OG Gary says, listen, I have no working knowledge of me saying that. Allow me to pull a Jim here. Amen.
Yeah, guys, I have no knowledge of what I said 3 days ago, so I'm innocent.
Jim DeStallions. Hey, the night before the games, be sure you stay at a Holiday Inn Express. Exactly. Alex Crows, Illinois fan here. Ooh.
The Fighting Illini.
No. Hey.
What?
Don't call him that anymore. Be respectful. Lovey Smith.
Oh.
I grew up a huge Jeff George fan. Man, I almost played baseball at Illinois, but chose not to. Offended by how much UM scouted the Vols and not us, who they played and almost lost to at home the week before Ohio State. Do tell. Boston Mapes. I'm with Gary. I believe the hammer will drop once the NCAA learns what a hammer is.
Seriously.
Yeah, we're going to have to make a run to home depot.
Yeah.
Bryce Martin, $75 million TV deal going towards this off-field drama, almost as good as the Mandalorian. Seriously. Fat Jesus simply says Diamondbacks. So we're going to get to your Diamondbacks. The downfall of Jim is going to be on 30 for 30. This
Because
is
it's illegal.
Oh, this is a 30 for 30 all day. All day.
Jimbo's going to get paid to be on there, bro.
No doubt about it. Bill G, it's a we stealing signs and you're not operation. We don't care.
Yeah.
Jim
It's a
Harbaugh.
defense.
Salty drunk. Talk about flogging a dead horse. I know. Just brand new details, but it's fine. What do you mean beating a dead horse?
What does
man?
that mean, dude?
We got this like 20 minutes ago. Boyd Lake, Jim would probably be really successful these days as a politician. He'd fit right in. Pick your party. Seriously. It's wild that he still believes plausible deniability is like a thing.
What really do we have to lose?
Seriously. Aaron Wilson gifted 1 membership on the Monty Show.
Yeah.
Aaron Wilson is an intern in Boss Frog's department.
Yeah.
You never play parlays. Never. Parlays are bad business for us normal folk. 1939, I will defend Jim and think you're making a big deal out of nothing. But so what do you mean? How is it a big deal out of nothing?
Yeah. Explain your case.
I mean, just because, now people are reporting that, excuse me. Bob Stoops now saying this is absolutely an atrocity and a huge deal, that this does not go on. And what is that, you might ask? Among the pieces of evidence an outside firm presented was a detailed schedule of Michigan's planned sign-stealing travel for the rest of the season, listing opponents' schedules, which games Michigan scouts would attend, and how much money was budgeted for travel. So that's not a smoking gun. That's not like when you look at where they went and how much money they spent, you don't think that this is any kind of big deal. I mean,
That's the untrained eye.
What do we talk? What do we big deal? What do you mean that it was Ohio State, Michigan's top rival? They planned as many as 8 games, more than $3,000 in travel and tickets to see Ohio State and Georgia. 4 or 5 games. You're a savage. 4 or 5 games scheduled for in-person scouting and video recording cost more than $3,000 in travel and tickets. But no, this is much ado about nothing. Other
I'm
than
not talking about that.
Yeah, other than the fact it's completely illegal.
I mean, it's fine. Like,
I don't break the rules.
In total, these people said Michigan's sign-stealing operation was expected to spend more than $15,000 this season, sending scouts to more than 40 games played by 10 opponents. According to the university's public salary disclosure record, Stallions, who is on paid administrative leave, listed as an administrative specialist in the athletic department for $55,000. Now, last time I checked, if you make $55,000, do you really think you can afford 15 G's and travel for 40 different venues?
no.
No, you can't. And here's the other thing that you can't get away from. The firm approached the NCAA with documents and videos the firm said it had obtained from computers maintained and accessed by Michigan coaches. Evidence that suggests the scandal's impact could broaden beyond suspension of one low-level assistant. You guys, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is a very big deal. This is not nothing. Come on now. Ron Nolan, Vegas must have known, you think? Gabriel says, holy smokes, that got my attention. Giggity, that drop was well played, Jake.
That's me, baby.
Jeff Woodworth, Jim paid me $30 to record Ohio State on my VCR and send him the tapes. Hey, man. Hey, big shout out to all our Michigan supporters. Anybody got a Betamax? Do you even know what a Betamax
I'm a man.
is? Jake don't even know what a Betamax is.
I mean, I ain't got time for all that, man.
Mike Smith, computers involved. AI turned in Michigan to the authorities.
Apparently, there's a video going around Twitter this afternoon of a deep fake of of Jim Harbaugh admitting they cheated.
Dude, we got to stop with this AI stuff.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
We got to stop with this AI stuff. There was a story on, I don't remember the investigative service who did it, that the number one grossing scam right now is AI voice calls from Africa and India, where it's the voice of one of your relatives telling you they need help, or, hey, they kidnapped me, or I got arrested. I'll tell you for what after you send the bail money. And people are actually sending the bail money because the voice is just like their mom or their wife or their friend. And the way that people are figuring this out is it's really sensational in their lives. So like, yeah, I'm going to call you back. Like, it's crazy what AI is doing. Bryce Martin, got to rewind them VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. KC Boss, what's up, boss? The crazy part is with their schedule, they should have only had to do this for a few schools.
Yeah.
40 games, 15 Gs.
That's what I mean. Why are you so focused on Rutgers, dude?
How
Just
did
go
you
and beat them?
And the biggest thing for me, KC, is how did you think you were going to get away with these line items?
With all due respect.
Like, do football interns, on any level go flying around the country?
No.
Hey, yeah, I've got to go to the world's greatest cocktail party
I'm for
between the
real.
hedges, bitch.
I'm for real.
What are you guys doing this Saturday? Well, I can't tell you, but we're going to the Georgia-Florida game. And
some shit happened.
Oh, you should see the SD card and how much expense I paid on that thing.
Is that a SanDisk?
Hey, man, that's a cool, beautiful, brand new phone. Where'd you get that? Oh, from work.
Not a good question.
What do? I steal signs from Michigan. Right? Because this dude was telling his friends,
Like, what's the bluff? If you're one of these interns at the Ohio State game, and security rolls up to you because you look suspicious. Hey man, what are you doing here? Yeah, I don't know, just coming to watch the game. I mean, is that really gonna fly? And I really want to know, were they wearing Michigan gear? That's what I want to know.
No way. But here's why. And it's Watergate all over again.
Facts.
I think of all the stupid crimes people have committed. Well, I'm going to send my cousin Larry. He's an auto mechanic, but he's really good with numbers.
What constitutes a promise?
Right? Like, and my friend Larry, he's got a handgun. I'm going to have him knock off Jimmy. Like, you sent football interns.
Football.
And there's video of them the entire game holding their phones pointed at sidelines.
That kid's a stud.
And then they uploaded the video to computer. Like, this is
new videos.
Boss Frog, serious question. Why isn't the Michigan TCU game more exposure in this scandal? The only school they didn't scout, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I am amazed. More
is going to come out, I'm telling you.
I am amazed. Yeah, I think. Why didn't they scout TCU? They didn't have time. That's why. You didn't have time, and you listen to Kirby Smart talking about it, and you listen to, like Kirby Smart today on DogNation.com. James Crapia got Dan Lanning on the record too. Dan Lanning said he didn't have a lot of thoughts on Michigan's in-game scouting Oregon last season. Ultimately, I think that's all sort itself out. If anything was unusual in the 2021 Orange Bowl versus Michigan after it scouted the SEC championship game, I just remember the result of that game.
Savage.
Like, it is wild to me. Kirby Smart, in his Tuesday press conference about the win over Michigan, offered up similar thoughts to Lanning. I didn't notice anything or know anything. Nobody we talked to warned us or anything like that. I think everybody we play, they say we steal your signals. Right? We tried to hide the signals, hold the calls, put up signs, do all that, but there's nothing I remember about that Michigan game that makes me think that. But I would remind you, Georgia was ranked number 1 in the country. Michigan was sitting at number 2. Oregon was ranked 8th, 6-1 on the season. Like like you're talking about, do you guys understand Like, do you understand in the college football playoff what's on the line? Like, Jim Harbaugh has been an abject failure at Michigan.
Yeah. And again, I think it's important to point out, when did this all start?
2 years ago.
Yep.
When he started beating Ohio State. He had been a disappointment, and the talk of him going to the NFL started. And I would also remind you, this probably wouldn't be that big of a deal, or certainly not a fireable offense, if he hadn't been such an asshat in the previous investigation about recruiting during the COVID dark period.
Such a great point.
Where he refused to answer questions, and the NCAA Committee on Infractions said he was downright dishonest. I don't know what else you say.
Don't lie to me.
You know?
This would have never come out if you'd have owned your nonsense and not had them sniffing around the program.
And guys like Dan Lanning, I mean, what does he have to gain by talking about it? Like,
yeah, that's a roast job out of Dan Lanning.
Like, I look at this situation, and I wish I could say I was surprised, you guys. I wish I could say I was surprised, but you listen, and I don't mean to keep playing the same bite over and over again, but listen to what Jim Harbaugh said about this.
Jim, do you feel like your program has a target on its back, both because of the success on the field and also some things off the field?
Yeah, I think success, does that. There's people that don't like to see people be successful, and there's a target, yeah. Everybody's pointed that out from the beginning of the season. But our guys are, they're just very focused, and just go about their business, Wake up, take care of business today, and then we still got get the guys back to Ann Arbor, and then wake up tomorrow and take care of business again.
Like, he's just a jerk. Dan Lanning is a red ass.
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh's unlikable and a jerk. You cannot, unless you are a Michigan fan, you cannot root for this guy.
Yeah, at least with Dan Lanning, like I've gone through a renaissance with Dan. I was not a Dan Lanning fan when he was roasting Colorado. Not a fan. Thought it was low cash because Colorado has no business being on the same football field as Oregon. Like, I had a lot of criticism for Dan, but I got to admit, dude, you lost to Washington like that, and then you came out and, you said we weren't good enough. We didn't execute, and I appreciated that out of Dan, and I appreciate the fact that he takes the opportunity to roast Michigan when it's presented to him, because that's exactly what he did. Hey, I don't think much of it because essentially we won the game. Like, okay, great. If you want to scout against us, awesome. We still beat you. And that's what I love about Dan Lanning. I wish they'd have beat Washington, because I think Washington's going to have a tough time getting into the playoff. I think Oregon would have had a better shot. But I appreciate what Dan's doing right now. But I'm just telling you, man, you can't be the way that Jim is with the media and think that it's going to work out well for you, meaning that the media is not going to do anything to you. But if you're going to sit here and be this, yeah, he's a jerk, but just sort of this so relaxed, like nothing affects you, no problem type thing. That's where I'm saying, hey, you're going to get in trouble, because people know that you don't want to admit what the hell is going on right here. And that's going to get you in trouble.
I think, and again, if you're just tuning in, because I see a bunch of people just joined us, we are running down the details, brand new from the Washington Post, about an outside firm that was auditing Michigan and got access to computers at Michigan and uncovered a treasure trove of information around this cheating scandal. And one of the major revelations of this cheating scandal that was unearthed by this firm is the opponents targeted most on the schedule were Ohio State, Michigan's top rival in the Big Ten, where they were going to scout as many as 8 games related to Ohio State, where they spent more than $3,000 on travel and tickets. Next was Georgia, a potential Michigan opponent in the college football playoff. 4 or 5 games scheduled for in-person scouting and video recording, also costing in the neighborhood of $3,000 in travel. And the other hard part about this is this sign stealing investigation now, it looks like was uncovered by an outside firm who approached the NCAA with documents and videos the firm said it obtained from computers and drives maintained and accessed by multiple Michigan coaches, according to two people familiar with the matter. This is a big deal. And right now, I think the question we're asking you here on the Monty Show is, can Jim Harbaugh survive this? Because I just don't see any way. And again, they're in a bye week now until November 4th. I think you have to take him off the field. You have to say you are suspended, and I'm good with it. If you want to suspend Jim Harbaugh with pay, I totally understand that. But I don't believe that this is one of those situations, Jake, where you can just say, hey, yeah, let's suspend him with pay, or actually let's just let this thing play out. Like, I don't think you can do that.
No, it's one of those situations where you have to be very cognizant of how you're making your institution look. I mean, if you're gonna suspend him with pay, you're basically saying you don't think he's guilty and you think that he's just out here coaching the football team. But the reality of the situation is that all the evidence says he knew, all the evidence says he's guilty, and all the evidence says he's right in the middle of this thing. And I'm telling you, and this is what we talked about earlier in the week, for those of you who weren't there for those shows, dude, this is something where now the brass at Michigan has to seriously start considering the damage to the brand that is Michigan in the big picture, not just football, but just Michigan as an institution. I don't care what the sport is. Hey, is Michigan a school that's known for cheating? Simple question. We can't say that now. And I'm certainly not.
You're not willing to say that now.
Not yet. It depends how they handle this. Because if they handle it, if they suspend him without pay and he's gone and the discipline comes down and they handle it well, is Arizona known for cheating through the Sean Miller case?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was recruiting and bags of money and under the table stuff and Adidas deals that should have never happened and the FBI. We all know that story. So with this one, I'm sitting here asking, okay, how does Michigan now escape this as a brand? Because I think you seriously have to look at that. And I'm a big proponent of the only way you escape it is by letting this guy go and rolling it over and putting winning to the side, because winning no longer matters.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's one of those things where now Michigan's known as a program that's willing to do things that we never thought they would do. I mean, you would never think that, hey, Michigan's going to be in the center of a massive scandal. Like, you would never think that. You would never think that this would be, with all due respect to our Texans and our folks in Waco, a Baylor type scandal, or like, what's the magnitude of this scandal? It's probably not on the Baylor level because we're not talking about assaults and murders and we're not talking about that. But is this Rick Pitino at Louisville basketball? Yeah, I think it is. Is this any recruiting scandal that we've seen? Yes, it is.
Yes.
I just am. I think it's worse than the Astros. I think there's no question.
This is definitely worse than the Astros.
It's worse than the Astros.
Yeah, because you went out. You were proactively going out and scouting teams that were deeper in your schedule. This would be the equivalent of the Astros sending a whole scouting department that would videotape with their phones, the dugout, a week in advance of every game or something. I mean, that's what you're talking about here. And I really think, to be honest with you, this is something that you probably wouldn't see in a lot of other sports because of the volume of games in other sports. I mean, again, you got to understand. I mean, you're talking about hours of footage that this guy and his people, not, Connor and the staffer, had to break down.
But am I putting too much into the fact that this is Michigan football? That this is the Michigan Wolverines. This is Bo Schembechler. This is a program that I do not associate with anything like this.
No, I don't like Michigan, but the fact is Michigan is a prestigious brand. This is a brand that is a blue blood for sure. This is a brand that is iconic in college athletics, whether you hate them or love them, whatever your feeling is, who Michigan is. And I'm telling you, the brass at Michigan has a responsibility now to save face, to damage control, to say, how much exposure do we have here? And the answer is a lot. You've got a lot of exposure. Oh, it happened in the football program under Jim? Well, damn, you guys know that Michigan hockey puts a lot of dudes in the NHL. What are they doing? What, you know what I mean? Like, that's what happens here. That's the natural progression.
I guess you can go back to the Fab Five.
Yeah,
right? I
precisely.
mean, that like in all the stuff, the Ed Martin stuff and the Chris Webber stuff and all of that went on. I just don't view Michigan in that light.
No.
And I think that's one of the things that's so damaging, is that I don't view them that way.
And by the way, you're in a time when you've got controversial new things in college football, like NIL, like the transfer portal, like how do we get recruits through NIL, like a lot of things that a lot of people characterize as under the table or dirty recruiting through NIL. You all know the complaints that everyone has out there. So again, it's hardly the time to have a quote unquote scandal running through your football program. And this is what I continue to say about Jim. Jim is always the guy that's got something happening in the program. It can never just be a straightforward, hey, yeah, we're 8-0 right now.
Yeah.
We're focused on our next opponent, and that's just what it is. That's never the case under Jim Harbaugh.
All right, let's get your comments on the show live on YouTube. Make sure you find the Monty Show. If you're new to the show, make sure that you also, if you're a podcast fan, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find the Monty Show. In fact, just go over to Google right now.
Do it.
And search the Monty Show. Monty, the Monty Show on Google. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our audio podcast no matter where you go. Matt Riley said, did my super chat go through? My internet went out. Thank you, Comcast.
Damn
well,
internet.
let's see. Am I up to date on super chats? Let's see. Titus for $5. If I dropped $2,500 on the game last year. If Michigan is found guilty, can I sue? I think you probably can.
I think you have a case, and that's the other
I
side.
think you
of this,
probably
dude.
can.
The gambling side of this, I'm telling you, has got deep implications because you don't have, like, we had a comment earlier in today's show about, hey, Vegas knew, the boys in Vegas knew. Yeah, they probably did know. And I'm telling you, that would definitely affect lines.
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt that if one of the big things about this is the gambling community matters.
And
the
they
gambling
would be pissed.
The gambling computer matters, by the way. Hey, also big shout out to our guys in Russia listening to us on TikTok. We're live on TikTok today. That's what everybody was talking about, the selfies. What's up, everybody? There's everybody. There's our studio. There's Jake.
Yeah,
right
what's
there.
up?
He's not so great, but
no.
How about our guys? Somebody whose name I can't pronounce, live in Russia on TikTok.
You just gave a gift to the Russians.
Good to see you. We did give a gift to a shout out. What's up, Pootie?